Good morning to those of you who are checking in live, or afternoon or evening, wherever you are checking in from. We are going to get started in one moment. Let me just make sure everything is where it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to be, and then we'll get into what we need to get into. I was about to change my mind talking about something mindset based today, but I said, no, let me talk about something that is business based. Business based, because I know a lot of you are in business. So sometimes we'll talk business stuff. Sometimes it'll be leadership stuff. Sometimes it'll be mindset slash life, career stuff, life stuff, sometimes career stuff. But all of it is going to be game that you can use to move yourself forward. So what we're going to talk about here today are the 3 ways that you can market yourself online. And this is targeted specifically for those of you who are looking to get your name known and you're using the internet as at least one of the ways that you're doing it. Doesn't mean you had to do it all on the internet. You can do it in offline as well. But if you're going to be marketing yourself online, what I'm going to share here today are the key 3 ways that you can do this. I'm going to explain what each one of them is. I'm going to tell you what the good aspects of them are, like the things that are the benefits, the reason why people do them. And I'm going to tell you some of the challenges with doing these things, because there are some challenges with using each one of these. Understand that everything in life has a trade-off. Thank you for that gift, Smart Shield INC. Everything in life has a trade-off, no matter what it is. Even though there may be great stuff on one side, there's also a flip side to it. Everything has a flip side. So I'm going to explain to you what the flip side is of all of these strategies. And then you can make a decision as to what you want to do. So these, I'm going to go in order from the fastest converting to the slowest converting. There's only 3 that I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to tell you that up front that you should use a combination of all of these, even though there are trade-offs to all of them. Everything has a trade-off. So if you're going to avoid something because it has a trade-off, that means you can't do anything, because there's nothing that doesn't have one. So let's get right to it. And before we get right to it, let me remind you all of who I am. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete, author of 35 books. I've done 4 TEDx talks, created this brand called Work on Your Game. What we do here is we take the tools to help athletes get to the top of the sports world. We translate them over to the business and professional world to help you perform at your highest level, do so consistently, and produce more results. That's what we help people do. Performance done consistently, not just one time, but consistently, and producing more results, whatever those results may be for you. So when I know what you're trying to achieve, then we're going to deconstruct how do we get you performance at our highest level in doing it? How do we make sure we do it over and over and over again? That's what we help people do. And that's all based on, again, extracting stuff that I know works for athletes, pro athletes, to get to the top 2% or 1% of what they do. And how can that translate over to people like you who may not be an athlete, but you want to take that same standard of performance and apply it to your career or to your business? That's what we do. So with that out the way, let's get into it. The first one, we're talking 3 strategies for marketing yourself through the internet. And the first one is advertising. All of you are familiar with ads, whether you have run ads before yourself or you are subject to ads. All of us are subject to ads. You get on any one of these apps that you're listening to me right now. I'm streaming in 7 different places right now. All of them have ads. And what's the purpose of an ad? Or what is an ad? An ad is simply someone, let's say that's you, paying money to a platform to show your stuff to more people. That's what an ad is. All right. If Google has an ad platform, which they do, they make most of their money through ads. Facebook does as well, and probably TikTok too, make most of their money through ads. They have an audience. They got a whole bunch of people, and you want to get your stuff in front of those people's faces. So you go to that platform who has all the people and say, hey, platform, I'll pay you $100, and you show my advertisement, whether that's video, it's an image, it's text, whatever it is, show my ad to, or they'll tell you, here's how many people we'll show it to for this much money. So if you want 1,000 people to see it, you got to give us $100. You want 10,000 people to see it, you got to give us $1,000. Or whatever amount of people you want to see your ad, you got to pay us more money. And then you can determine exactly who you want to see it. You can get specific as to what type of people you want to target with your ad. So Facebook has a very robust platform for this, as far as getting really specific and targeting people based on psychographics, demographics, where people live, how much money they may make, estimations. So you can get very, very specific as to who you're running an ad to. It doesn't just have to be like the masses and just showing your stuff to everybody, because most businesses, you're probably not trying to sell your stuff to everybody. And even if you are trying to sell your stuff to everybody and you think everyone could use it, that doesn't mean that everyone is your best customers. Once you're clear who your best people are, the best people you want to send your stuff to, then you can show it to those people. Now, the reason I did advertising first, because advertising is the fastest converting form of online marketing. The fastest way to convert, and when I say convert, what that means is to get a person who sees your stuff to take a specific action. That's all. That's what I mean when I say conversion. It doesn't necessarily mean that they bought anything, but to get someone's attention. So let's say there's somebody out there online using Instagram right now. They're scrolling and they've never heard of me, but I want them to hear of me. The fastest way for me to get their attention would be for me to run an ad to maybe where they live or their demographic. Let's say they're a 19-year-old black guy. I'll run an ad towards 19-year-old black guys. The fastest way for me to get someone to that person to see me is to run an ad specifically targeted towards people like him. So if you want to get a lot of results, and results don't necessarily mean what you want, but just in a result period, fast, run ads. All right. And the more money you're willing to spend, the faster you'll get the ROI. It doesn't mean you're going to make money on your ads. That's a whole different ballgame, but you can do this pretty quickly. So again, Facebook or Google, these are platforms that have gathered eyeballs, and that's the reason they can sell ads. They can sell ads because they got a whole bunch of people using their platform. And when you have that, then you can start charging a toll. So all you know what a toll is, right? When you're on the highway, you got to pay. You got to go through the toll booth. They can start charging a toll if you want our audience, our people, to see your stuff. So Google can say that to me, Dre. If you want people to see your Work on Your Game University, you got to pay us a certain amount of money, and we'll show it to this many people. And why would a company do this? The reason companies do this is because I know if I spend $1,000 on ads, maybe I will make $5,000 back. So that makes perfect sense. So if I could make 5 times ROI, so I spend $1,000, I made 5,000 back. Well, I'm going to spend as much money as I can, as long as that works. The challenge, with ads is that they don't always keep working. So sometimes an ad is working, but then after a while, the ad stops working because people have seen it too many times, or you just need new creative. Creative just means a different way of saying what you want to say in your ad. You just need a new video, a new image, new text, etc. So as long as your ads are making money or even breaking even, you can break even with ads and it's still a good thing because you've acquired a bunch of new eyeballs and new fans, etc. You don't have to pay to get their attention anymore. So if I wanted to target an audience, let's say I want to target female basketball players or people who need tires for their car, I can run ads to target these people. The good thing about ads is that you can get a whole lot of eyeballs on your stuff in a very short period of time. That's the best thing about running ads. You get a whole lot of attention in a very short period of time. You can boost your traffic in 1 day or even 1 hour if you spend enough money on an advertisement. The challenge with ads, the flip side, the trade-off of ads, is that you have to pay for people to see your stuff. And just because you paid does not necessarily mean you're going to make your money back in any way. So that's why when you run ads, you need a plan or a strategy for how running these ads is actually going to help me make money. And if you haven't laid that out, then you should before you start spending money on ads, because you don't want to spend a bunch of money. And okay, you got a bunch of results. So say you got a bunch of people to start following you on a social media app. Oh, now what? Now what do you want them to do? And there are people who do this. They run ads just to get people to see them, just to somebody to follow you on an app. And it's not necessarily a bad thing as long as you have a strategy for now they're following you. Now what you want them to do. So you have to figure out what it is that is their next step if you're just getting them to know that you exist. Now, there are marketers out there who are on both sides. There are marketers out there who say you should do stuff like brand advertising, which is simply just getting people to know that you exist. So if you drive in your town and you see a billboard up there that's not asking you to do anything, like Apple has billboards with pictures of the iPhone. They're not asking you to do anything. They're not saying go buy the phone. They're just telling you that they're there. If you're going to do that type of advertising, you need a plan, something that makes sense for why you're doing it. Apple can do that because they got a ton of money to throw around and to waste. Most of us don't have money to throw around and waste. We need to make money on our money. So there are other marketers out there who tell you any type of advertising you do, there needs to be a measurable ROI so that you know your money is making money. And if it's not making money, stop doing it. So there are different schools of thought as to how to do this. And there are individuals out there who say, well, they will still do brand advertising just to get followers and get people to look at their stuff, because the more people who know me, then it just increases their digital footprint, and they figure that there's a way that can convert to sales. So different people have different ways of looking at this. But if you're spending your own money running ads, then you better have a plan. That's all I'm saying. You can get a lot of eyeballs, but again, you're paying for those eyeballs. So it may take time and money, and just because you ran an ad does not mean you're going to make money back. So you might send 1,000 people to your sales page because you're selling a book or a course. Just because 1,000 people went to the page does not mean you're going to make sales. Maybe none of those 1,000 people buy your stuff. Maybe you're advertising to the wrong person. So the people who went to your page are just not the right customer for what you're selling. Maybe there's something wrong with how you're framing your offer. And maybe the price is too high, maybe the price is too low. It can be anything. And this is why you have to be able to dissect what the actual issue is when you're running ads, or you need someone who can dissect when you're running ads, because again, it's your money. All right, so that's all we got to say about ads. Let's move on to point number 2. We're talking here today about the 3 ways that you can market yourself on the internet. The second way is what we call collaboration, or sometimes I'll refer to as the Dream 100. So Dream 100, the first person I heard talk about was a guy named Russell Brunson. He's the guy from ClickFunnels, and he got it from another guy. I think the guy's name was Chet Walker. And the Dream 100 is just a fancy name for a simple concept. It's just figuring out who are the people who already have an audience of the people who you want to reach. That's what Dream 100 is. Who already have the customers that you want. So if I'm, for example, selling a basketball training program, somebody in my Dream 100 might be, let's say, LeBron James. Now, LeBron James is not selling training programs online, but what does LeBron James have? He has a big audience of people who like basketball. So my theory is that some people who are following LeBron would be interested in buying my products. So I would put LeBron on my list of people who I might want to collaborate with. And I could do something like I can go to LeBron's team and say, hey, I'll pay you 10 grand if you post 3 posts on Instagram about my dribbling program for basketball players. And he'll take the 10 grand, he'll post it 3 times. And my theory, my hope is that I can at least break even or even make money on my $10,000 investment. That's a form of collaboration. Even though I'm paying for it, it is still a collaboration. But collaborations also can be no money involved or no money involved, at least up front. So affiliate marketing is a form of collaboration. Many of you probably know what affiliate marketing is. If you listen to podcasts or even if you follow influencers online, you'll notice that sometimes they will mention, hey, you get a 20% discount if you go buy some clothes from this company and use my code. And then their code is like their name or something like that. And when you use that code and buy something, the affiliate setup recognizes that, oh, you bought something based on Dre's code. And now Dre gets a kickback on that sale because I sent one of my fans to go buy stuff from that person. So that's a collaboration as well, where the money's on the back end. So they don't have to the company doesn't have to pay me any money up front to do it. And they only pay me out of money that they made. So it kind of protects them a little bit. They're not just putting money out with no guarantee that they're going to make it back. They only pay me when somebody buys something. So I have sponsorships with companies like AquaTrue, a water filter company, AG1, another company I work with, and there's one other I'm not remembering right now. Actually, we got a bunch, but I got a whole list of affiliates who I work with. I don't mention them all the time because it depends on who I'm talking to and what they need. It's a company that does video editing. They have video editing AI software, and those are affiliates. So affiliates is, again, you send people to buy somebody else's product, and then you make a percentage of the money that got spent. So that way everybody's protected. No money gets put out without money being made. So you get paid on the back end after the sale. That's a form of collaboration. And what a collaboration is again, you finding someone who already has an audience that you want to get in touch with, and you working together with them to get your message in front of those people. That's a collaboration. So another example of a collaboration is if somebody has a YouTube channel and I hit them up and say, well, let's do a video together. That's a collaboration. So let's say I have a YouTube channel where I talk about basketball, which I did back in the day. Someone else talks about basketball, but our audiences haven't really intermingled, or maybe some people in my audience are also in their audience. We may do a video together because the fans will love to see these 2 people come together. Same way that if you like 2 musicians or 2 singers or 2 rappers, they do a song together and you're happy because you like both of them, right? So you like to see them work together. So that's a form of a collaboration. If somebody has a podcast or an interview show or a TV show, I got a pause connection on Instagram. There we go. Someone has an interview show, TV show, podcast. You may reach out to them and say, hey, you should have me as a guest on your podcast. So now the people in that person's audience, they get to hear about you and see you, or otherwise they may not have known who you were before this. And they get something too. You get, first of all, a whole bunch of fans to now see you. But on the flip side, the person who has the show, now they need guests for their show. They need guests every day. So now you are solving their problem by being a guest on their show. So that's another form of collaboration. So there's a lot of different ways you can collaborate. Collaboration simply means you working with another person or company, and both of you benefit in some way, shape, or form. So your job when you're doing collaboration is you have to figure out what is the benefit for you and what's the benefit for them. And then if you're the one who's kind of initiating the conversation, you got to tell them, here's the benefit. If we work together, here's what you get. Here's what I get. Here's why this is good for you. Here's why it's good for me. Let's work together. And if they're interested, then you can work together. So that's a good thing about a collaboration. One of the best things about collaboration, and one of the reasons why, if I was telling someone out of these three that I'm talking about, which one to focus on the most, I would say, well, if you're really just trying to scale up what you're doing, is advertising. Spend money, make money. As long as you're making money on what you spend, you should do advertising. It's the fastest one. Collaboration is the second fastest, so it's a little bit slower than ads. But I would tell people to focus on the collaborations, because the challenge with running ads, which I didn't mention in the first point, is that the platforms who sell advertising space can raise their prices on you anytime they want. So Google ads used to cost, way back in the day, like when I first got into selling stuff online, you could run a Google ad and spend like $5, like literally $5 over the course of like 3 days, and you would get a good enough number of clicks that you could figure out whether you have a viable opportunity here or not. These days, to get that same kind of response, you might need to spend $50 or $500 for the same topic. So the cost of advertising just keeps going up. Same with the cost of everything in life just keeps going up. So the challenge with advertising, folks, is that it keeps costing more money. It's not going to get cheaper. So Facebook ads cost more now than they did 10 years ago. And they will cost more in 10 years than they cost today. And that means if you're still selling the same product for $1,000, but it only cost you $100 to run an ad back in the day, but now it costs you $1,000 to run the ad, and then in the future is going to cost you $3,000 to run the ad. Well, now you're losing money on your ads. So you can't always depend on advertising, because the cost of it may continue to rise. And the other thing about advertising is that you don't control the platform. You don't have control. So I know a whole lot of people who run ads on platforms like, let's say, Facebook. And sometimes your Facebook ad account will just get shut down or hacked. I've had a Facebook ad account hacked. I've had a Facebook page hacked. It was at like 20,000 people and got hacked, and I couldn't get the page back. And it's damn near impossible to get in touch with anybody at any of these companies, like an actual human who can help you if you have a problem. Good luck. So if your page gets hacked or your account gets hacked, you're probably not getting it back. If you do, consider yourself lucky, but you usually don't get them back. So if you're running ads on one of these platforms and something happens to your ad account, whether you got hacked or they just randomly decided to shut you down, and I know people to whom this has happened, then there's nothing really that you can do. You really don't have any recourse. And the other thing about ads that I didn't mention in the first point is that the ad platforms do not need individual advertisers. They don't really need people like me and you. So I know people who spend over $10,000 a month on ads, like every single month consistently on these ad platforms, and they've had ad accounts shut down. Now you might think, well, the company like Facebook might be willing to help that person out because it's $10,000. I mean, you're going to just let a $10,000 customer just get their ad account shut down and not help them? Well, the answer is yes, they will. And here's why. Because companies like Facebook, if any of you ever read Facebook's annual report, which you should, because they tell you exactly how they're making their money. Other companies do the same thing. Google, all these public companies tell you exactly how they're making their money. Facebook makes like 93% of their revenue from ads, and their ad platform. And most of that money is not coming from individuals spending like $1,000, $10,000 a month. It's coming from big brand advertisers like ESPN and Disney and ABC. These big companies, the New York Times, these companies spend millions of dollars. Nike, Google, Amazon, they spend millions of dollars every month on ads. So if I have Amazon paying me $1 million a month in ads, and I have you paying me $15,000 a month in ads, I don't really care about you. If you disappear and stop buying ads on my platform, I don't care. I'm making $1 million from Amazon. I don't need you. So all of you, if you run ads, you need to understand that you're still in a precarious position because they don't need you and you might need them. So you don't want to need the platform more than the platform needs you, because they can just pull the rug out from under you any day they feel like it. On top of the fact that your account can get hacked and you can't do anything about it most of the time. So collaboration, again, is the way that you can work with someone who already has an audience. And ads are technically a form of collaboration, but you're paying for the collaboration. I'm really talking about collaborations where you don't pay. So you could do a joint venture as well. Joint venture could be like, let's say I have a whole bunch of material on mindset and you have a whole bunch of material on sales. So you come to me and say, Dre, I got a whole bunch of salespeople in my audience. They need mindset help. And I talk about mindset some, but Dre, you talk about mindset all the time. Why don't you come teach some mindset stuff to my salespeople, my audience, and then whatever money we make, will you get a piece? I get a piece. I said, that's a great idea. And because those salespeople need the mindset stuff, so they'll be open to what I have to say. And they already know the guy who teaches the salespeople, so they'll be willing to listen to me because I came in and got introduced as the friend of the person who already has an audience. So this is a form of a joint venture or collaboration. And I have several of these going right now where I take material of mine that's, let's say, mindset, and I license it to somebody else and they use it on their platform for their audience, like their members or their coaching clients, but it's my material and I get paid based off of just licensing my stuff to them. So companies do this all the time. And companies license their stuff. Like Disney licenses the name, image, and likeness of Mickey Mouse all the time to other companies. And then you got to pay Disney to use Mickey Mouse's name. Or you see companies do this together. Like, you remember when, actually, I think this still exists, like when KFC and Taco Bell combined and they made one store. And you go in the store, you get KFC over here, you get Taco Bell over there, or Pizza Hut and KFC or whatever these stores do. And that's a collaboration. All right. You got customers, we got customers. Why don't we work together? So KFC said, well, people who eat KFC also eat Taco Bell. Why don't we do a store together and people can get whichever one they want? Or you could take a company like Target. Any of you ever been to a Target? When you go inside a Target, what's one of the things you often see as soon as you walk in? To the right or to the left? Usually you see a Starbucks. And what is that? That's a collaboration. Starbucks said, people who shop at Target, they went to Target and said, people who shop at Target usually also drink coffee. Why don't we put our store inside your store? So when people come to buy home goods, they can also get some coffee. And then every time somebody buys some coffee inside of that Starbucks that's inside of Target, Target gets a little piece of that. So Target said, all right, we're not using that space anyway productively. We'll make more money by giving it to you than if we use it ourselves. Great. Now they collaborate. Now you go inside of Target these days, you see a Starbucks. So this is a form of collaboration. Now, the good thing about collaboration is those of you who are good at building relationships and you're good at communication, you can do a whole lot of collaborations because collaborating is really just about making friends. It's about connecting with other people, building relationships, and then leveraging that relationship to do business. That's what collaboration is. Connect, build a relationship. I got a pause connection on Instagram. Only once, there it is. So connect, build a relationship, and then leverage the relationship to do business where you win and they win. That's all collaboration is. So any of you who's a good people person, you like people and you like building relationships and using those relationships to move everybody forward, then you should be collaborating actively all the time. Now, the challenge with collaborating is that, first of all, you got to sell yourself to other people. So those of you who are not good at selling yourself, collaborating is hard to do. And I answer questions at the end, by the way. If you are not good at selling yourself to other people, then it's going to be hard for you to collaborate because you're probably not going to be good at building relationships and making connections. So collaboration is really for people who are good at connecting. And if you're not good at connecting, it doesn't mean that you can't collaborate because you got two choices. You can either A, get good at collaborating, get good at building relationships and become a better people person, or B, you can hire somebody who is good at it and let them speak for you. So maybe you have an executive assistant or a collaborations manager who does all the connecting for you. So even if you're not doing it, they can do it and they can manage relationships on your behalf, or an agent or a manager or something like that. They can do it. So, excuse me. Also, when you are doing collaborations, you have to maintain the collaboration. You got to keep things going. So you got to make sure that whoever you're collaborating with is getting what they want out of it. And you got to make sure you're getting what you want out of it, which is, again, ongoing relationship management. So this is just part of the job. Third point, we got about 15 minutes left here. We're talking to 3 ways to market yourself online. And I'll take questions at the end. If you have any, just post in the comments. Third one is content. So we did advertising, collaboration, content. Content is the slowest way to market yourself on the internet. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just the slowest way. And what I mean by slow is that it takes the longest to convert. And you might have to create a lot of content before people start doing anything besides just watching your content. So if you want someone to go to your website, or you want them to buy your book, or you want them to sign up for your email list, or you want them to buy your course, they might have to watch 30 of your videos before they make a decision, or they might have to watch you for 5 years before they do anything. So somebody could be following you on social media for 10 years, never buy anything from you, even though you have stuff to sell. So just creating content in and of itself is often a slow burn. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't be somebody who watches your content for the first time today, and then they're ready to do something right now, and then they go buy something. Sometimes that happens. But with the majority of people who are looking at your content, which is just free material you put on the internet, many of those people are what we call freeloaders. They're just loading up on all the free stuff, and they have no intention, maybe not even the capability of buying the stuff that you have to sell. So that's one of the trade-offs of content, is that you might create a whole lot of it and you got a whole bunch of people looking at you, but most of those people are not buyers, and we're talking business here. So I'm talking about what is actually going to make you money. So if you have a whole bunch of people looking at your stuff on social media but not spending any money, then you're not generating business, and that's a challenge. And you're in business, you want to be making money. So here's the good thing about content. The good thing about content, first of all, let me explain what it is. Content is simply material you put out for free so anybody can take it in. All right, that's what content is. You put out free stuff, and what I'm doing right now is content. Stuff that you put out for free. Other people can watch it. and they can get a good feel for who you are, what you're about, what you bring to the table, etc. That's what content is. So me doing this live stream is content. If I have a podcast, which I do, I call mine a masterclass. It's called Work on Your Game. Comes out every day. That's content. If I have a YouTube video, post on Instagram, etc., all you know what content is. So articles, podcasts, emails, video, TikTok, photos, all these are examples of content. What you notice these days is most people in the thought leadership space, people who are explaining their knowledge about a subject, almost all of them create some form of content. Some create more, some create less, but almost everybody's in the game. Why? Because it's become the accepted thing these days that if you want people to know who you are and know what you're about, you put out content for free. They get a taste and feel for who you are and what you're about, and then they become your customers and your clients. That's pretty much the way that it works. Now, you can speed up this process, again, through collaboration. You can collaborate with somebody to make content, and through advertising, and you can have content. And remember what I said at the beginning, you probably want to do all three of these. So I'm not saying pick one. I'm saying do all three. You want to have a combination. So most thought leaders and subject matter experts are usually posting some type of consistent content. Doesn't mean they're posting like 10 times a day like we do, but they might post one time a day or twice a week, or whatever it is. They're consistently putting something out so the audience is able to find them. You want to be findable. That's the great thing about content, is that it allows you to be findable, to where if someone is looking for something that you happen to talk about, they can find you. But if you're not findable, then you can't get found. And there's a whole bunch of people who are members of our university, coaching clients of ours, have been customers of ours, who have been to our events, etc. They found me through content, not through an advertisement, not through a collaboration, but simply through content. I was just putting out content. Maybe I did a live stream. Maybe I did a post on Instagram they saw. Maybe it was a video that I put out, and they consumed it and they liked it and they started following me or subscribed to me or whatever. And then over time, I might have mentioned something like, hey, I have an event, or hey, I have a course. Or maybe they saw one of my ads and they saw the ad because they were already following me, and then they clicked on it and they came and became a customer. So content is a good way to get yourself seen. Just understand that it doesn't always convert immediately. Just because you make some content today does not mean you're going to make money this afternoon. It could, but it's not a guarantee. It's not as fast as advertising. So the good thing about content is the price of content is free. Doesn't cost you any money to make content as a general rule. You can spend money making content if you want. You don't have to. You can make a lot of content, but it doesn't cost me any money to do what I'm doing right now. I mean, I got to have the devices to do it on, and I got to have some type of data connection. But other than that, the actual production of this doesn't cost me any money. There's no cameraman here. There's not a studio set up. This is my home office, and I can just turn on the computer or the phone or iPad, and I can just start a live stream and start talking, give people some game. Somebody hears it. They like me. They decide to follow me. They hear about my university, come in it, and they join. They become a coaching client. Boom, I just made some money. Cost me no money, but I made money. So content is a good way to do this if you're doing it consistently. First of all, you got to be consistent. I would suggest anybody who's going to get in the game that you do it in a regular way, so that people know what to expect from you or what they're going to get. So I got another pause on IG. So people I know what to expect from you, what they're going to get. So when I do these lives, I usually tell you now, I do these lives Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock. So Monday through Friday around 8 o'clock a.m., I start doing these lives. So now people will come to expect it. All right, so every day they come and tune into the live, or hopefully they come in every day. They like it, and they'll hear me do these lives, and they get a good feel for me and a good feel for what I'm about. And if they like it, then they may take the next step. That's the good thing about content. It's free to make and it's free to consume. It's the easiest way to get people to know about you, and there's no risk. There's no risk for them, and there's no risk for you. And see, when you run an ad, you're risking your money, because your money might not bring any money back. That's the risk. When you do a collaboration, you're risking that you reaching out to somebody to collaborate. They might say no, or they might ignore you, or maybe they never saw your message because it went into the spam folder, or they don't read their DMs. So when you're trying to collaborate, a lot of times the people you reach out to are not going to collaborate with you because, again, either they're not interested, they didn't see it, or they just don't see the connection. And we do a whole lot of collaboration over here at Work on Your Game. But I would say our collaboration, acceptance rate, when I reach out to people to collaborate on anything, we probably collaborate with maybe 10 to 20% of the people we reach out to, which is not bad. I mean, it's not even a bad or good thing, but we reach out to a whole lot of people and we don't collaborate. And a lot of times we just can't get our message to the right person. Sometimes people just don't get the message. They literally don't get it. It goes into their spam folder, or they don't see it, or they get 1,000 emails a day, so they don't see ours. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes people reach back to us and say, well, we don't want to do it. They'll just say, no, thank you. That happens as well. So when you're doing collaboration, you're risking your time and reaching out to people that they might not respond. That's simply what it is. Content, there's really no risk. Unless you want to say the risk is you create a bunch of content and it doesn't do anything. But all that is, that's actually good for you because it's feedback that tells you, all right, maybe I need a different approach to my content. Maybe I need to do it in a different way so I can reach the right type of audience. Also, keep in mind when you're creating content, it's not about getting everybody to look at it. It's not like you need 1 million people to look at your stuff. You just need the right people to look at your stuff. So your job before you start even creating content is ask yourself, who are the right people? Who do I actually want to connect with? And the more people you sell to or talk to, the better you'll understand who your ideal customer or ideal client is. And that's who you should target your material to, not just to anybody. Even though anybody could benefit, theoretically, you don't want to target everybody because you're spreading yourself too thin trying to target everybody. You want to target the right type of person. So content is the easiest way to connect with people and get them to know you, like you, trust you. And again, it doesn't cost them anything. Doesn't cost you anything, and you can get found randomly. That's another benefit of content, is that you can get randomly found by a person who otherwise would not have known that you existed if you are consistently putting out your material. Good thing is you can combine content with advertising. So on all of these apps, they do it. You can boost a post. So on TikTok, for example, I was looking at the other day, I can take any of my posts on TikTok and I can boost it. So let's say if I put $5 behind the post, and now they'll show that post to more people on TikTok. And now I will pick up more followers. I'll pick up more fans, hopefully. And maybe some of them will become paying customers or paying clients in theory. So that's a combination of content and advertising. You can turn your content into an ad just by putting money behind it. And you can also combine content with collaboration, because I can take my content, license it to somebody else, and now I can make money off it while they share my content with their audience. So these are all the good things about content. Now, the challenge with content is, again, it's a long game. Sometimes you can create a whole bunch of content and get no return on investment. Investment being your time and your energy. So what type of content you're creating and who you're creating it for matters a lot. And it can take a while for content to convert for you. Like you can have a YouTube channel, put out videos for a year, and you still didn't really get a whole bunch of subscribers or views, etc. Or maybe your stuff is just not hitting with the right audience. So you got to keep working on it until you find a combination, you find a formula that actually works. So back in the days, those of you who have been around this long, you would know this, but those of you who haven't wouldn't know. So around 2010, let's say 9, 10, 15 years ago, you could sell stuff online just by creating a good amount of content that was quality. You found your right audience. You could sell stuff by just telling them in your content, go buy my stuff. Now there are people who still do that. If they have a strong enough audience and they have enough engagement, you can still do that. But that gets harder and harder to do because there are just more people in the game. These days, there's so many people creating content. It's hard to break through just on content alone because you just have so much competition for attention. Whereas in 2010, it wasn't nearly as much competition because there weren't so many people creating content. But now everybody's creating content. So it's a little bit harder to break through in that way. That's why it can take longer. And you didn't need ads back then. If you didn't want to, you could still run ads, but you didn't need them. These days, you pretty much need them. So the audience is more diluted and it's hard to cut through because there's more noise. But the good thing about that is when you find people who really connect with your message, they will come find you even if there's a whole bunch of other opportunities out there. So all that said, let me recap these 3 points. We're talking about the 3 online marketing traffic strategies. You got a question, put it in the comments right now. Number 1 is advertising is the fastest way. That's the best thing about it, is the fastest way to get a return on investment. The challenge with advertising is that you're not guaranteed a return, and the platforms that you spend money to advertise on do not need you. They make most of their money from big brand advertisers like Nike, Amazon, Google, etc. Those companies spend millions of dollars every week on advertising, and you and your little $10,000 a month is nothing to Facebook. It's nothing to Google. They don't actually need you. You need them. They don't need you. So that's the challenge with advertising. Number 2, the Dream 100, also known as collaboration. This means finding people who already have an audience that will be open to your stuff and connecting with them and figuring out how you can work together. So these can be joint ventures. These can be affiliate relationships. This can be making content together. These are all forms of collaboration. Good thing about it is that you already are touching a warm audience. So if I collaborate with you and you already have a bunch of fans, when I show up to share my message with your fans are already willing to listen to me because I got introduced to them as your friend. So that's a warm audience, whereas opposed with an advertisement, the audience is cold. They've never heard of me, don't know me from anywhere, and I'm just trying to sell them something right there on the spot. So they're a colder audience. Does not mean you cannot sell to those people if you find the right person at the right time. But the audience is a lot warmer when you come in as a friend of a known person. That's the good thing about collaboration. So if you have a podcast and I become the guest on your podcast, your listeners will listen to me because I'm talking to you because they know you. They don't know me, but they know you. So it's kind of like getting introduced to somebody you should date by a friend. Right? The friend knows you and the girl, and they say you two should meet. So the girl's willing to talk to me because I'm a friend of her friend. All right, same thing. That's what a collaboration is. The challenge with collaboration is you got to have people skills. So if you don't like talking to people and you're not good at building relationships, then collaborations won't work well for you. I suggest you fix that problem though, because collaboration is the future, everybody. Collaboration actually is the present and is the future. So you need to get good at collaboration, even if you're good at the other two. And third one is content. Content is the long tail, does not always convert immediately, but good thing about content is that you can put it out for free. Doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't cost anybody else anything to take a sample or a practice run of what you're about and who you are, like I'm doing right now. So you give people a free test run and they can decide if they want to go further with you or not. Challenge with content is that you can put out a whole lot of it and still not get a return on investment. Other challenge with content is that most of the people who are consuming your content for free will never go any further than consuming your content for free. Most of them are what we call freeloaders. They will load up on your free stuff, but they ain't buying anything. Either they don't want to, or they are not capable of it, or they don't even think about it. They're not even considered. And that's the challenge with content, because you might have a whole bunch of followers. Followers are not the same as customers. All right. And if you're in business, most important thing you want are paying customers, not followers. Followers, you can't pay bills with followers. So any of you who's creating content and you have an audience on the internet, that's great. But you're looking for the people in that audience who actually will become your customers and clients, not just people who are going to consume your stuff for free. Because again, that can leave you spinning your wheels for a long time with no return on investment. So if you got a question or comment, go ahead and put it in the comment section. I'll address it right now. Over on YouTube, Sangwan was good. Somebody asked, do I play basketball anymore? No, I don't play basketball anymore. So I stopped playing basketball in 2015, but I know some of you probably see me on, maybe you haven't seen me in a minute, and you jumped in here, you saw me doing live, so that's why you ask. But yes, 2015, I stopped playing basketball. Since then, I've been doing this. So anybody asking, that's the answer. I'm on TikTok now. You got a question or comment, go ahead and post it. Smart Shield, thank you for the gifter badge again, and thank you for the lightning bolt. Someone said, will collabs be a more cost-efficient version for an average salary person to get started? I think the most cost-effective version will first be creating content. And this is a good question that you asked there, Amoxilin, is that you want to create content, because what content does, it gives you a foundation. It basically establishes you as somebody. So if I was to reach out to you, let's say you had an audience, right? And I reached out to you and I said, let's do a collaboration together. Well, the first thing you're probably going to do is go look me up. Like, who is Dre Baldwin? Never heard of this guy. And you might Google me, or you might go on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, whatever, and just look me up and see. Oh, that's my timer. All right, so we're about to stop in a minute. You'll look me up and see what I'm doing. All right, what's this guy about? All right, what's he talking about? What kind of content does he have? What kind of audience does he have? Is he known? And you might Google me just to see what I'm about. And if I have content out there, a lot of content, and I've been doing it consistently, when you see that, you're going to be like, okay, this guy is actually credible because he's been in the game for a while posting all this content. So it actually makes me look good when I reach out to you if I already have content. So if you don't have any content and then you reach out to someone to collaborate, they might look at you and say, well, who is this guy? This guy's nobody. I Googled him, can't even find him. I'm not collaborating with this guy because what does he have that I want? Because you don't have a track record. So when you reach out to people to collaborate, it's best to have a track record first. And your track record is simply the content. That's the great thing about content, is that you can build a track record. You can build a digital footprint for yourself by just creating content. So if you were to Google me, you're going to see a ton of my material that I've created over the years. And the good thing about that is that if you ever happen to be a victim of negative press, your content can kind of drown the negative press. So let's say somebody put out a story just slandering me, just trashing me on some website, and it was a popular story. Well, I can bury that story because I have so much content that my content is going to get shown more than that story is going to get shown. But if you don't have any content and somebody bashes you on the internet, well, that story is going to be the first thing everybody sees because you don't have nothing else. So that's another good thing about content. It kind of acts as insurance because it's stuff that you said about you. So therefore, people can't make you look bad, assuming that the stuff you say about you is positive. So to answer your question, Amoxilin, has nothing to do with your salary. It has nothing to do with how much money you make. The Simple Kitchen 101, good morning. Rich Gain Wealth, thank you. Tyler Finance Tips, good morning. Rich Gain Wealth said, do I have a mentor? I have multiple mentors, and I'm in multiple coaching programs. Yellow Man Reed was good, good morning. Amoxilin, how do you get better at collaboration without using your prospects as guinea pigs? Well, nobody's going to be a guinea pig for you if they have any value or credibility. Why would they need you? So how you get better at collaboration is work on your people skills. All collaboration is working with other people. So you already do that, right? You said you're an average salary guy. I'm assuming that you work with people at your job. Okay, so you already know how to work with people. So all collaboration means is just working with another person to do something that is for mutual benefit. It sounds like a fancy word, but that's all it is. It's just me and whoever working together. You get something, I get something. That's all collaboration is. So really, you just got to learn how to have good people skills, and you have to be able to pitch, basically sell yourself. Hey, Mr. Let's say who's somebody that's known on the internet. Hey, Tony Robbins. My name is Dre Baldwin. I got a pause connection on Instagram. There it is. All right. So it's like if I reach out to Tony Robbins, I need to be able to tell Tony why what I have to offer is beneficial to his audience. So I had to have something that he is not already giving them. So if I tell him, hey, I can help people become the best version of themselves and live their best lives, he's going to look at that and say, well, Tony, I already do that, so I don't need you. And he's going to say no or not even respond to me. So I got to offer something that he's not already offering. But it needs to be symbiotic so that they serve each other. So, for example, when I had a big basketball player audience or an active basketball player audience, I collaborated with a guy who had a program for how to jump higher because basketball players want to jump high so they can dunk. So it was a perfectly symbiotic relationship because I had the basketball players who were learning the skills. He had this jump program to help you do this one thing every basketball player wants to do. It was a perfect collaboration. He got something, I got something, and the audience benefited from it. So that's an example of a collaboration. The other one I told you, that's something that I'm really doing right now. I know a guy who focuses on sales. His whole thing is just sales, sales, sales. I talk about sales, but not as much as him. But I talk about mindset a lot. So he said, well, salespeople need mindset. So why don't you, Dre, bring your material over to our space, give it to our people, and we'll pay you for the license to use your material. And that's exactly what we're doing. And again, that's an ongoing collaboration. So these are ways that you can collaborate. You just need to figure out how your stuff can benefit somebody else. Who needs what you're offering? That's the question you got to ask yourself. So the question over on, let's see what we got on Instagram. You got a question on Instagram. I'll go ahead and post it. Mr. Dyer said, good morning. Good morning to you. Somebody asked, do I still play ball? So I already answered that question. Let's see. Somebody else asked the question. Question is, Lord Clan, have you taken students from your class who would be in the gaming industry? Well, the principles of business, collaboration, and moving yourself forward are agnostic to the industry. So we have people in our program right now who are in finance. We have people who have brick and mortar clothing stores. We have people who have food trucks. We have people who are teaching people music. I have single moms who are talking to single moms about how to be a single mom. I'm not a single mom. And we have people who are in the entertainment industry. I'm trying to think who some of our other members are. We have finance people who have their own companies. We have finance people who work in corporate. So we have people from all different spaces. We got people who do similar to what I do, where they're writing books and coaching and consulting. So to answer your question is that the stuff that I teach is agnostic. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. So it's not like you need to be a fill in the blank in order to work with me. If you can benefit from having the right mindset, getting the right strategy in place, the right systems, and making sure things get implemented, then we can help you. That's the great thing about Work on Your Game, because of what I told you, what we do. We take the stuff that helps athletes get to the top of the game. We translate it over to business. So if you would like to perform in your business the way that your favorite basketball or football or soccer player performs at their sport, then we can help you. That's the formula that we have at Work on Your Game. And that's workonyourgameuniversity.com, by the way, for anybody interested or want to take a look at what we're doing. Crespo was good. Good morning to you. Good theory on negative versus positive content. Yes. Somebody said, what's your time schedule now? I've not seen any of your stories for a year now. What stories? I don't know what stories you mean. I do these lives every morning, so I don't know what you're referring to. And let's see. Said, thanks. Amoxicillin said, I just got to quit putting business owners on a pedestal. I can talk to customers easy. Yes, that sounds like a good theory, at least a good place to get started. So anyway, the people asking, I do these lives every morning at 8 o'clock. I do IG stories every day. I never stop doing IG stories. Look at my work plan. Look at my story right now. I do stories every day. I don't think it's been a long time since I went a whole day and not did an IG story. So maybe you just didn't have it showing up on your feed, but I am in there. And let's see, over on Instagram, somebody said marketing is forever. Yes, definitely need to run this back. I need help with marketing. I learned that it's so important. That's why I try to keep my name clean. Yes, marketing is everything in business. Business is marketing. Marketing just means getting people to know that your stuff exists and that you have something that they want. So ODOG, but not for minutes, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. We can help you with that. And the question is, what skills you've acquired over the years, how confident with the skills you've acquired, how confident are you that you'd be able to generate income off of a $0 budget? And that's how I got started. I got started generating income off of $0 budget. So my answer is 100%. I didn't have a budget when I started. When I first got started, I was making free content on the internet for basketball players. And I built up an audience, and then I started creating products. Didn't cost me money to create the products. And I started selling them for $4.99. And that's how I started making money. So that's how I became profitable from the beginning, which is something that our parents, for example, couldn't do because they didn't have the technology that we have. Back in the day, if you wanted to start a business, you had to have money to get started. These days, you don't need any money to get started, and you can make money on the first day, depending on what you're selling. You can start an OnlyFans and make money today. I ain't telling you to start OnlyFans. I'm just giving you an example. And then even leveraging into the other things that I did, none of it was based on how much money I had. So, to further answer your question, I was selling to basketball players. Basketball players started asking about mindset. I started talking about mindset stuff. Basketball players bought that. People who didn't play basketball bought that. I started talking about mindset a little bit more. People who didn't play ball started to join my audience. They started to buy more of my books. They started to buy my courses. They started to become coaching clients. I started leveraging that into going and getting speaking gigs. It doesn't cost money to get a speaking gig. So I started doing speaking gigs. I did a whole bunch of speaking gigs for free. And now I do speaking gigs for money. Now I get paid for it because I proved myself by doing the free gigs. Now, some people, again, different people have different paths, but none of the things that I did in business required me to have money to get started. To answer your question, nothing that I've done in business required me to have money to get started. So a $0 budget is fine. And this is why I mentioned content. If you create content, it doesn't cost money to create content. As long as you have something that people want, they will start listening to you. Now you have an audience, and the people in your audience, they have money. So now just sell them something, and now you got money. Now you can use that money, pour it back into your business, and there you go. You can run some ads, you can hire some staff, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so that's how you can get started. And by the way, I have material. Any of you who's listening to these, this or these lives, everything that I'm talking about here, I've talked about in different places. I have a show that comes out every single day. It's called Work on Your Game. You can find it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It's called Work on Your Game, and it comes out every single day. It's about 20 minutes on average every single day, maybe 25, sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little bit shorter. About 20 minutes a day. It's just a solo show, no guests. It's just me talking. So if you like this, what you're listening to right now, you should be listening to my show, which I do every single day, because the stuff I talk about on these lives, I've already talked about on my show. So it's called Work on Your Game. It has over 3,000 episodes. It's been coming out every day since 2016. So when I talk about content and building a library, a foundation, I'm not just saying it. This is something that I actually do. And doing these lives is actually another form of that. It's just establishing, giving me a footprint. So again, if somebody tries to write a terrible story about me on the internet, it won't get seen because all my content is going to get seen first when you Google me. All right, everybody get it? Hopefully that never happens, but y'all get my point. All right, everybody, we do these lives again, as I said, every morning, Monday through Friday, that is 8 o'clock. So if you want to see me again, just come here tomorrow, and then we'll be back on Monday. That's that. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So Apple Podcasts is one app. I said it sounded like two words, but Apple Podcasts is an app. Spotify is the other one. So just look up the show. It's called Work on Your Game. Just look up my name. Y'all know my name, Dre Baldwin, and I'm easy to find. I don't have any songs. I don't have any rap songs or singing songs on those apps. So if you look it up, the only thing you're going to see is Work on Your Game. And YouTube, yes. Or Clan mentioned YouTube. Yeah. So we put the new episodes always come out on audio first. They come on video later. So the earliest, if you want to catch like the latest episode, you got to catch the audio apps. The YouTube we do later. Actually, we started doing the YouTube at the same time, but we're still trying to catch up. And by the way, I think YouTube has had me shadow banned for several years. So any of you follow me on YouTube, you don't see my stuff all the time in your notifications. YouTube's had me shadow banned for a long time. I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. As I explained to you all, these platforms don't need any individual person. They can replace all of us easily. All right, just follow me on Spotify. That's what's up. All right, so everybody, we're wrapping this one up. We'll see you all tomorrow morning. We'll probably talk some mindset stuff tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. We are out of here. Work on your game.